Hey everybody, it's nutritionist Amy Berger from toitnutrition.com bringing you the next installment in doing keto without the crazy. Before we get into the topic at hand, I want to tell you about two upcoming events where you can meet me in person. And I have links to all of the upcoming events on my website, toitnutrition.com. There's a tab that says Meet Me in Person, and you can find information, how to get tickets, all that stuff to any event that's coming up. So I'm recording this right now on July, let's see, it's the 29th, but I think I will probably publish this tomorrow or the next day, so very early August. So the first event is soon. It's coming up. It's Saturday, August 17th. I'll be in Toronto for the Great Canadian Keto Conference. You can find information about that at greatcanadianketo.com. And the one after that, I'll be in Ottawa. I'm not sure where in Ottawa. I know Ottawa's a big place. Ottawa on Saturday, September 21st. And that is at keto-retreat.ca, keto-retreat.ca. Again, there's links on my website. It's not just me at those events. There'll be lots and lots of other really cool low-carb and keto people that you'll want to meet. So do check those out. Let's see, I think that's it before we get into the topic. I have no notes, so this will be fun. We don't know what direction this is going to go in. And I do want to point out that this is like the 7th time I have stopped and started this recording. So I'm just going to go, and whatever happens is going to happen because I'm not recording this an 8th time. It would be like, 4 seconds in, 10 seconds in, and I screw something up. All right, 10 seconds in, 20 seconds in, I'll stop. There was one, it was about a minute and a half in, and I stopped it, and I'm not doing that anymore. Whatever happens here is going on YouTube. Let's talk about hunger. The hunger monster, the hangry, being hungry and angry, the hangry monster, whatever you want to call it. When most of us think about dieting, right, going on a diet, we associate that with hunger, right, with constant, never-ending hunger. Because we associate going on a diet with having to ignore hunger, right? And let me say up front, when I'm talking about dieting right now, even with keto or low carb, I mean specifically for the purpose of losing body fat. I'm not talking about the epilepsy keto diet. I'm not talking about the Alzheimer's diet. I'm not talking about any other use of a low carb or keto diet except losing body fat. So, in the context of wanting to lose body fat, whatever diet any of us is used to doing or has tried a gazillion times in the past, the one thing we associate it with is hunger. Because going on a diet implies having to ignore hunger signals, right? It implies having to be hungry yet not eat because you're trying to lose weight. It implies being hungry and maybe taking a glass or two of water to try to fill up on the water, which is ridiculous advice, by the way. But that's a lot of what the Weight Watchers and sort of calorie counting type things tell us. Fill up on water, you'll eat less. Oh, okay, thanks for that, super helpful piece of advice. But really, any calorie restriction, any food intake restriction program we've ever tried for the purpose of losing fat has made us hungry because we're told that we have to eat less, right? Eat less, eat less, eat less. Ignore your hunger, ignore your biological, physiological urge to consume food. That's really hard, and it's why most of those diets suck. It's why most of those diets have failed us. We didn't fail though on those diets. Those diets failed us. Those diets are destined to fail. They're set up to fail unless you are one of these people, and they do exist. You might be one of these rare people that has like a superhuman iron will that you can ignore your hunger. You can deprive yourself of food. You can ignore a primal biological urge to have energy intake. And if you can do that for months and months or years at a time, you can lose weight and sustain a weight loss. For most of us actual Homo sapiens, most of us human beings, we don't have that kind of ironclad will. We don't have that ability to resist these quite natural, quite real physical urges for food. Now, keto really turns all that on its head in a way, and not in all ways, and I'll get to that in a minute, but You know, one thing that I heard from a very good friend of mine who has an enormous following online, like 10 times as many followers as me. So I won't tell you who she is, but she's a dear personal friend of mine. And I've heard her talk, excuse me, I've heard her talk about her own keto journey. And she often says that by like the second day, the second or third day, she wasn't hungry. And she said, for the first time in my life, I wasn't hungry. She has been obese since childhood. Since she was almost like a toddler, she has been dealing with obesity. And I think it wasn't until her 40s or so that she found keto. She said for the first time in her life, she wasn't hungry. Now, I also, just a few days ago, saw a tweet from Dr. Tro Kalayjian. He's Kalayjian, I think, Kalayjian, Tro, Tro is his first name. He has a fabulous practice just north of New York City. So if you're in the New York metropolitan area and you're looking for a keto-friendly MD, Tro is your guy. I'll link to his website in the notes here for the video. Anyway, Tro now specializes in obesity medicine. He just became board certified. He specializes in helping people lose weight and improve all the other metabolic syndrome, PCOS, fatty liver type stuff that we know is driven by chronically high insulin and chronically high carb intake for those of us that have a very low carb tolerance. So Tro tweeted about an encounter with a patient, and of course, you know, they keep the patient's identity private, of course. But he said that he was dealing with an obese young man, and he gave the man a food list. He gave the patient a food list, and he said, I want you to eat from this list, eat until you're full. And he said that this man, this patient, broke down in tears in his office. And you know why? Because the tweet, Tro relayed what the man said. He said, no one's ever told me I could eat until I was full. Everyone always told me to eat less. Can you imagine the kind of emotion, the kind of relief that must have hit him to hear a medical professional say, eat until you're full. You just have to eat from this list, but as long as you stick to this list, you can eat until you're full. You don't have to go hungry. You don't have to ignore your hunger. You don't have to fight your biological urge to eat. You can eat, just eat only foods on the list. Can you imagine how magical that is? Maybe you can. Maybe you've been there. So many of us have, right? So with, I guess I don't really know how to come at this. There's so many things to say, right? I can remember before I was low carb myself, being hungry kind of all day. Not something that I couldn't fight, not something that I couldn't ignore if I had to, you know, if I was in class or in school or at work or something. But I remember, you know, eating breakfast, a pretty big breakfast, a big bagel, maybe a glass of milk or some juice or something. And, you know, 2 hours later, what happens? I was hungry again. And honestly, it never occurred to me, hey, wait a minute. You just ate a huge breakfast 2 hours ago. Why are you hungry? You ate a huge breakfast and then you came to school and you're sitting here on your butt at your desk. There's no reason you should be hungry. It's not like you had that huge breakfast and then did a triathlon and burned it all off. Like, no. And then, you know, I would eat lunch and then I would be hungry again. So look, real live YouTube, you can see my bra strap. Guess what? Not stopping the recording because I'm 9 minutes in. Too bad. Okay. Awesome. We're all friends here. It's cool. Where was I? Oh, so I'm like hungry all day, right? Again, nothing that was like I'm gonna kill somebody if I don't eat, but I could snack all day. I wanted to snack all day. I thought about food all day. I fantasized about food all day. And so many of us have, right? I know I'm not alone. And in, you know, after going low carb, and I started with Atkins, something very, very remarkable happens that you can't understand until you've experienced it. And that is that hunger, I can't say it goes away. I was just about to say hunger goes away. It doesn't go away. What happens is your appetite is very well regulated, right? Instead of having this sudden onset of that sort of hypoglycemic hunger, like I have to eat now, I'm going to murder someone if I don't eat in 4 seconds. You don't get that really once you're kind of in the keto zone, in the fat burning zone. You do feel hunger. It's not that hunger is non-existent. Of course you get hungry, but it's a very sort of gradual, gentle rise in the desire, in the urge to eat. And it's to the point, I've mentioned this in past videos, where you're kind of like, oh, I'm starting to get hungry. I feel a little hungry, but I could wait. I could eat, but I could also wait an hour. I could wait 2 hours if I had to, maybe even 3. Like, I'm not going to die if I don't eat in the next hour, even though I recognize that I'm feeling hunger. And so I got an email from somebody today that wrote to me, with an interest toward being a client. And before I ever take someone on as a client, I always ask, what are you looking to accomplish? What are your goals? Is this solely for fat loss? Are you looking to manage a specific medical condition? Because depending on what the person is trying to do, I might or might not be the appropriate person for them to work with. They might need an MD. They might need more of like a sports and keto for athletic expert, which is not my area of expertise. So this woman happened to be in it mostly for fat loss. She was, a little bit overweight, not a ton, but based on the height and weight, she told me she was carrying some extra weight. And based on what she told me, I was like, well, you could either book a consultation with me for $175, or you can drop $10 on page 4 and do the page 4 diet. I said, if you shell out the $10 for page 4, do it for a month, and you probably won't even need me. If you do it for a month and you're not getting anywhere, then get back in touch with me. Maybe there's something else going on, but this should work. And I'm not going to show you the whole page 4 because it is available for sale on my website, toitnutrition.com. It says page 4 keto fat loss. So I don't want to give away the store here, but this is from Eric Westman, the famous keto doctor. He has a section on here that says 0 carb snacks unlimited. Unlimited 0 carb snacks, and he has listed sugar-free Jell-O, pork rinds, pepperoni slices, boiled eggs, or beef jerky. And I think we assumed that that's like a 0 sugar beef jerky. Most beef jerkies are loaded with sugar. Anyway, she downloaded the page 4. She said, great, thanks. I'm ready to get started, but I have a question. The 0 carb snacks, is it really unlimited? And I can guarantee you, without even having asked her, the reason she was asking, is it really unlimited, is because we are so accustomed to not having the permission, to not being told that we're allowed to eat unlimited amounts of anything on any kind of diet, right? Not even on keto. On keto, fat is not unlimited. It's a high-fat diet. It's not unlimited. So I had to tell her, the way I answered her, because, if Eric Westman says unlimited, it's unlimited. But I will tell you the reason he says, he has something up above where he talks about the fatty meats, the poultry, the pork, the shellfish, the beef, the lamb, and eggs and stuff. He says, when hungry, eat as much as you want of these foods until you are comfortably full. That's word for word from page 4 here. When hungry, eat as much as you want of these foods until you are comfortably full. I've heard him speak many, many times in person at events, and I tell you, what he says is, eat as much as you want of these foods, but I know you're not going to want much. That's the zinger, but I know you're not going to want much. So I said to this lady, yes, those 0 carb snacks are unlimited, but you will be very surprised after only a couple of days of being this strict on keto, 20 total carbs or fewer, you're not going to feel the need to snack all day long, every minute of the day. That's the beauty of keto, right? Yes, these snacks are unlimited, but what does that mean when your appetite is so well regulated that you don't need a snack? it's because it happens. And I do think during the transition period, like during the first couple of days or even weeks of keto, I don't want anyone to restrict anything except the total carbs. So I would say, yeah, sugar-free Jello is unlimited. Zero carb pork rinds, make sure it's not one with a seasoning that might have some sugar or something in it. Pepperoni slices, boiled eggs, yeah, unlimited. Because in very, very short order, you're not gonna overeat anything really. That's how well the appetite is regulated. And the fact is, the reason this is so important, the reason why keto is so much more effective than any of the calorie counting and deliberate restriction programs many of us tried in the past, the reason keto works so much better is because it controls the hunger, right? Like I said, hunger doesn't disappear. It's not that you never, ever, ever, ever feel hungry, but it's manageable. You're not thinking about food all day long. You're not eating lunch thinking about what's for dinner. You're not eating dinner thinking, what am I going to have for my bedtime snack? It just kind of goes away. I'm amazed at how easily I can go without food. And it's just no big deal. Now, I will open up a little more personally in some upcoming videos that I have kind of hinted at this issue in the past. When I do eat, once I break the seal, so to speak, I do like to eat a very large amount of food. I do. And I probably do overeat. I eat more than I need to satisfy my hunger. But that's an interesting aspect of keto too. There's a guy named Sam Feltham, F like Frank, Feltham. He's out of the UK, Sam Feltham. I think he probably has some videos about this. He probably even has his own YouTube channel. He did an experiment a few years back where he was eating, I want to say he was either eating 5,000 calories or overeating by 5,000 calories. I don't remember which it was. It's been a long time since I looked at it. But the point is, relative to his, like resting or basal metabolic needs, his relative to his caloric and energy needs, he was massively, massively overeating. And he did this twice. He did it once with a high carb diet and once with a very low carb diet. And guess what? It might not shock you that the results were pretty different. Did he gain weight? So he gained weight on both. Gained weight on the super high calorie, high carb diet, gained weight on the super high calorie, low carb diet. But he gained on the low carb part of it, he gained a lot less than the calculators and the numbers in the nutrition software predicted. He gained a lot less than he should have based on the amount of fat, the amount of protein, the total amount of calories he was consuming. And I've definitely seen that in my own life. Like when I say I overeat, I know that I'm eating way more than my body needs, because I could stand to lose about 10 or 12 pounds right now. And it's because I overeat. And I overeat on keto foods. I'm not binging on bread. I'm not binging on potatoes and rice. I overeat ketogenic foods. But I am 100% certain, and you will never convince me otherwise, that I have gained less weight overeating on keto foods than I would have gained eating the equivalent amount of calories on a higher carb diet, period. Because it's not about calories, it's about how the hormonal levels affect what your body does with the food you consume. It's not a math problem. Your body, there's my bra strap again. Hi everybody, peekaboo. You know why I can't see it? Because the angle, this is a very low budget operation, friends. If you could see my setup right here in my little kitchen / dining room, I have my webcam balanced on top of 2 shoe boxes, and the monitor that I'm looking at is a little off to my left, so I don't really see the fashion foibles, the wardrobe malfunctions like Janet Jackson had all those years ago. I don't see those unless I actually look over. So, peekaboo bra strap, it's all cool. Back to what I was saying. I am convinced that I've gained less weight eating too much of keto foods than I would have eating the equivalent caloric amount of high carb foods. And that's because of the hormones. It's because of low insulin. It's because of lower blood sugar. It's because of I don't know what. Just that's the way it is. But guess what? It's catching up with me. I need to lose some body fat. So I'm going to do my best to get out of some of the very bad habits I've been in for a very long time. But this isn't about me. This is about hunger. So what else do I want to say? So hunger, I wrote a blog post about this that I'll also link to that I've mentioned in previous videos about how hunger doesn't evaporate. It doesn't disappear forever. It just is so very well regulated. This is why it's so easy for so many people on keto to only eat 2 meals a day or even 1 meal a day, because you're just not hungry. You don't need to eat 3 substantial, portions, breakfast, lunch, dinner. You can eat 2 meals, or if you are still eating 3 meals a day, that's fine. You don't have to skip meals. You don't have to intermittent fast or anything like that. But you might be eating 3 meals when you used to eat 5, when you used to eat 6. So 3 meals a day is already eating, less frequently than you used to. So that's really one of the nice things about keto, is that you kind of eat less by default. Because if you do only eat twice a day, and especially once a day, it's really unlikely that you're going to consume the same amount of food in 1 or 2 meals that you would have consumed in 3. It's possible, yes. It's just less likely. If you're really only eating two or 1 times a day, 2 times or 1 time a day, it's unlikely that you're going to eat the total amount you would have eating 3 full meals. And now, one thing I did kind of hint at the beginning that, it's not perfect. This isn't magical for everybody all the time. So let's talk about that. Maybe you are still really hungry. Maybe the magic hasn't happened for you. Maybe you are listening to me saying, Amy, I don't know what you're talking about. You say my appetite's supposed to be regulated. You say I should be able to only eat 2 meals a day really easily and not be starving for a third. I don't know what you're talking about, girl, because I'm hungry all the dang time. Okay, then something's up. If you fit into that category where the keto hunger abatement, normalization, regulation of appetite hasn't happened for you, consider doing something like the Page 4 diet, or get yourself a used copy of the Atkins book. Do a very, very strict induction for 2 or 3 weeks, because it's possible that you are not quite as low carb as you think you are, especially if you're counting net carbs, and especially if you're including things like keto bars and shakes and products that claim to be keto but are keto because they have a lot of fiber and a lot of sugar alcohols that you can subtract to get the net carbs. Go back to 20 grams total carbs for 3 weeks and see what happens to your appetite. In fact, Dr. Westman, when he has patients, I've visited his clinic. I've actually sat in on patient visits, which is really cool. When he has follow-up visits, like he's had an appointment with somebody the first time, he gave them the diet, they're doing it they usually come back once a month or so. When they come back, he doesn't say, have you been cheating on the diet? Have you been eating carbs? He doesn't. The question he asks them is, how's your hunger? Are you hungry a lot? Because that's his clue. If they say, yeah, doc, I'm hungry all the time, I don't know about this diet, he knows they're not doing the diet, because the diet done the way it's written, very, very strictly, your hunger will be gone. Or not gone, like I said, it'll just be a normal, pleasant sensation of needing food. It won't be that constant, all day, ceaseless, intrusive thoughts of hunger. So if it hasn't happened for you, like I say, it's possible you're not as low carb as you think you are. Look at the medications you're on. There's a lot of different medications that increase appetite, that cause hunger. So if you're on one of these medications, look at the potential side effects of anything you're taking, and if that's listed as a side effect, talk to your doctor or whoever prescribed it, nurse practitioner, whoever it was, and see if you can switch to an alternative medication that might be equally effective without the hunger. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Do everything you can to set yourself up for success. And here's the thing, the last and final thing. Let's say you are at 20 grams of carbs a day, or 0 grams of carbs a day. Let's say you're doing carnivore. I don't know. Let's say you're not on any medications that increase hunger. You're still hungry. you're still overeating at every meal, you still have intrusive thoughts of food, you still are addicted to food, guess what? Hi, welcome to my club. Welcome to my club. This is hard. It's hard stuff. I gave a talk about this type of issue at Keto Fest in Connecticut just last weekend, and I'll link to that video, I guess, right here in the notes, in the notes for the video, and I'll probably also link to it on my blog. I may or may not write a blog post about it. If the magic, the keto magic hasn't happened for you, you are not the only one. Many of us struggle with compulsive overeating, binge eating, food addiction, and newsflash for anyone out there who doesn't realize, food addiction is not just sugar addiction. There are food addicts who are not addicted to sugar, and there are sugar addicts who are only addicted to sugar and not other foods. So to all the people who say, well, nobody ever binges on broccoli, no one ever binges on pork chops, you want to bet? You want to bet they don't? I know they do, because I do. So it's, keto makes this much easier, right? In general, for the most part, for most people, keto makes eating an appropriate amount of food, an appropriate number of times throughout the day, much easier than any other fat loss diet or any other fat loss strategy we've tried in the past. Keto makes it much easier. It doesn't make it smooth sailing 100% of the time for everybody. I still fight these battles. I still fight the demons, and so if you still fight them, welcome aboard. You're not alone. Watch that video from Keto Fest. I got a lot of really good feedback on it, and I was so pleasantly surprised because I was kind of afraid of how it was going to be received. Anyway, I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'll do a whole separate thing on that sometime, but yeah, just wanted to talk about hunger because keto is a great way to control hunger most of the time for most people. And what else? You're never going to stick to a way of eating if you're hungry all the time, right? If you have to constantly, every day for weeks, months, and years, suppress a natural biological drive, that is simply an unsustainable, unrealistic, probably unsafe, unhealthy way to do it. And I hear that from Dr. Kalajian all the time. He's like, you cannot talk to anybody about losing fat before you take care of their hunger. You cannot do it. You cannot implement any strategy to lose body fat without addressing hunger. Because if you're hungry all the time, you just ain't gonna stick to it, and rightly so. You shouldn't have to. Keto, for the most part, takes that hunger out of the picture. So that's it. I did not intend this to be anywhere near this long. I'll see you next time. Thank you for putting up with me and my human foibles. You know, you can contact me through my website, toitnutrition.com, or if you have topics you would like me to address in future videos, I do take requests, assuming it's a topic I feel confident speaking about. Don't leave the comment in the notes because I cannot keep up with these. I can't guarantee I'll see it. If you have a topic you really want me to address, or you have a question that you absolutely positively must have me answer, send me an email, toitnutrition@gmail.com. And remember, as always, you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/toitnutrition for as little as $2 a month. And if you don't like Patreon, you can use PayPal, paypal.com. You can send it to that email address, a one-time or recurring contribution, any amount, no matter how small. All support is welcome. Thanks for watching. See you next time.